Jofosu Daddy Lumba. But which one is this? Back for good, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, back for good. Well, we've been joined by CEO of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson. Good morning, Joe. It's been a while.
Good morning. It's been quite a while, but it's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you join us this morning.
Yes.
And since you are in black, it's not because maybe not because you're morning, but let me just take your memories of Daddy Lumba before we continue into discussion about the Ghanaian economy.
Oh, listen. Daddy Lumba gave us countless moments of joy, pure joy. And listen, the first time I watched Daddy Lumba, I watched him. He was with Nana Champon.
Yeah.
He was with Nana Champon at the rooftop of a place in Adabraka. I can't even remember. It was so many years ago.
Oh, okay.
They were two young men, and I thought they were fantastic. There's still some memories that I can't forget. Like the first time I heard Abenwa. I remember where I was. Don't ask me where I was.
Where were you? Where were you? Not that you brought it up. Where were you?
Don't ask me where I was. But I remember it was in those days. It was actually a nightclub, and I'm in a nightclub, and this song booms out of the speakers. It was actually in Kumasi, and I was like, "Whoa!" Of course, we knew that Lumba, and this was so, and stuff like that. So he is. I would think that in another country, we would be having in the US, for example, they have people who study Sparrow. Sparrow the musician, because his lyrics are deep. In another setting, we'll be studying Daddy Lumba because of how deep his lyrics are. But given who we are as Ghanaians, we will all cry and mourn, and then we'll move on.
But I like the fact that, in another jurisdiction, we probably will be studying his lyrics. I think that's something we can do, particularly those who are studying linguistics. They can actually, and these days, the good thing is that, these days that, I know a lady, a PhD holder, who wrote her whole thesis in Chi.
Yeah.
So these days it's doable.
It is doable.
You can actually do that.
And if you think that he could sing about things that the more you delve into, his lyrics have different layers. And the more you delve into it, you say, this guy is a genius in saying some of the things that he said without sounding profane.
Well, may his soul rest in peace. Which means we can get back to the Ghanaian economy. And yesterday, the minority in Parliament, they've been talking about it. I'm sure we can listen to, some of the things that the minority said in Parliament yesterday. They actually say that while the city may have appreciated, they are not people can't get the city when they go to the banks, the formal institutions. Let's just listen to what the minority said.
The minister claimed that there has been a reverse of the cedi depreciation to the 2022 level. And here he mentions the fact that they inherited a cedi to dollar rate of 17 cedis to $1, and they have brought it down to 10.4 cedis to the dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a plain lie. There has never been any record by the Bank of Ghana during the last 8 years of the previous NPP government whereby a dollar was sold at the interbank market for 17 cedis.
The question we ask the minister is, how much of Ghana's public debt has the government repaid since they assumed office? How much? Zero. They haven't repaid any of Ghana's debt. And so, if the debt to GDP ratio has reduced, how is the minister able to claim that they have done magic?
Accept that.
Okay, so that's Joe Jackson. Hey, that's the minority.
Yeah.
Talking about the finance minister, Ghana not paying our debts, and so where is the finance minister getting all these achievements from? Joe, let me just get your initial thoughts about what they said before we get into the details.
You see, in a lot of ways, when I hear the NDC speak, two things come to mind. One is that you can't have your cake. You can't eat your cake and have it.
That's the NPP.
No, the NDC.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. It's you can't say you can't be talking about forex rates on one hand and turning around and comparing it and saying that I never got to 15, 17 because you see those are forex rates. So let's stop comparing apples and oranges. If you're going to compare the Bank of Ghana rates, let's stick to that. If you're going to look at the forex rates, it's possible to compare the forex rates when NPP was leaving power to forex rates when NDC was when NPP is in power today. Sorry, so it's NPP we're talking about. Now, the other thing that comes to mind also is this, that to the latter part of the NPP's period in power, where Honorable Aminu was minister, some good was done.
Okay.
And there's a Ghanaian proverb that I like, you see. Konfo bon awats na yarefo. Ma konfo pa aboton. Muyinimo. Essentially, Ghana's economy can be likened to a sick patient who suffered a stroke, right? And 2022, 23, 24, we were in the throes of a lot of pain. It was an intense problem there. And getting to the end of the 2024, things were getting better. But at the same time, we've moved from intensive care in 6 months to physiotherapy. Yes, we are still in the ward. Yes, we need daily monitoring. Yes, there are going to be possible setbacks. But let's credit one, those who did the initial care, but even more credit should go to the new regime of doctors, where we changed our doctors. And with the change in doctors, we also changed the medication. And the doctors applied a far more rigorous regimen to the medication. And we saw a significant jump. Say what you like. Compare Bank of Ghana rates. We've still come down from 13, 14 to 10.5.
Yeah.
Take forex rate, you will still see a reduction.
Yeah.
So it's neither here nor there. And well, the role of the opposition is not to cheer, to be
or to make them feel good.
Cheerleaders for the party in power. So some of it really, I listen to it, I hear it, I discount it, and I move on.
Okay, let's bring in Franklin Cudjoe. I'll get back to you shortly. Joe Jackson, who is CEO of Dalex Finance. Franklin Cudjoe is joining us. He's founder and president of Imani Africa. Franklin, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston. And can you hear me also?
Yes, we can hear you. Now, Joe Jackson talks about the fact that, okay, the economy was in intensive care, is now at the physiotherapy state. Some would say then the doctors who took care of the economy while in intensive care would deserve some credit, isn't it?
Without. Actually, Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Franklin. Good to hear from you.
Right, great. Well, without a doubt, there is some good that was done by the previous administration. No doubt about that. And of course, we also have to realize that they actually caused the need. And so, if you are attempting to correct what you did, well, maybe so level of praise, but don't shout, don't go to the roof and shout, because clearly speaking, in fact, you should not really.
Yeah, Franklin, I think I hear some feedback. I don't know if there's a radio close to you that you can turn it off or move away from it.
Let me just do that.
Okay.
Okay, is this better now?
Yes, I think it's better now.
All right. Okay. So, as I was saying, I do not have a problem at all with anyone claiming credit, but we also need to look at the magnitude of the problem we have faced. Having said that, it is also important that the current crop of leaders, in this case the finance minister or those governments, must also somehow recognize the fact that we are still in the should I call it the honeymoon mood. It is important that they start putting their feet on the ground and sustain some of these gains that have been made. Because frankly, to have a 42% more or less performance in terms of the Cedi, the year-to-date performance, it's good, right? I mean, Joe tells you clearly that some of these is also due to external issues and all of that. But clearly speaking, some level of discipline has been instilled. You know, when Akpo responded to question by Evans on PM Express that Dr. Bawumia was basically asking the NDC one important policy that they introduced, which has been responsible for the gains made so far. Of course, it's the same conversation, right? But the NPP believes that a lot of what is being experienced now is due to their work. No problem. I think that the answer Akpo gave was actually the definitive answer, which should guide the NDC going forward. He said, look, if there's nothing at all with them, we've been disciplined financially. We've not been reckless. We've not borrowed recklessly. And the evidence is there, isn't it? I mean, the treasury bill, I mean, they go for it, but sorry, what's it called? How to call it? I mean, the domestic mobilization of
the treasury bills, yes.
The treasury bills, sure. We all know what has happened there. The interest rates are falling. They don't take everything. Unlike our cousins who will take everything and then celebrate and say they are doing well. You know, so it's important to make this point that yes, fiscal discipline is important. People said he's not spending. I don't understand. First 6 months, you want the guy to start spending, like he himself says, characteristically says that you can't be drinking champagne and not but the budget. You don't do that. So if 6 months now is spent and is given a litany of places to spend, yes, you could argue that a few of the capital goods may not, we haven't seen some spending, but it is even wiser on Akpo's behalf to work with the entities that draw a lot of the capital goods, like the roads infrastructure, for instance. That the Gross Minister and a team of evaluators are going around the country to first of all vet all these fictitious claims of roads that have been constructed everywhere, and then determine whether the price, the contract amount were even right in the first place. But don't forget, the last administration was not dishing out contracts to people when there was no money. We all know that. I've seen many files, and I'm overwhelmed. It was just like a party thrown to party faithfuls. Come and collect something, go and do something, stop, and then wasted everybody's time. Look at this Ofanko. I'm amazed that even my good brother, as a Zobachi, even have the temerity to come and tell us that, oh yeah, money was received, but the minister is wrong because the money was used for other things. But that's exactly what the minister is saying. You took money for a particular road. You didn't do that. You used for other purposes. So nobody is saying that.
Yeah, but Franklin, he explains that the money was for that and others, and so part of it, when the money was received, it went into the others, including that also.
You see, let us even interrogate that further. It doesn't even make economic sense. You have a major road like Accra to Kumasi. For how many years now? For how long now? This road should be the primary road, if you like, right? Then you receive close to 700 million from Exim Bank, Afro Exim Bank. And then you come and do your own permutation and say, oh, other roads also. I'm not saying other roads should not be constructed. A sensible economic analysis will tell you that you derive more value from the major plank than other roads that you are doing because of elections. I mean, let's face it. We construct roads to nowhere sometimes. That's why this conversation about railways is also very interesting. You need to construct economic roads, focus there before you come to peripheral roads. So, anyway, the point I'm making essentially is that we can interrogate the budget, and indeed we do have issues as well. I mean, we have seen, for instance, that there's a deficit in terms of the target needs in terms of port revenues, about 1.6 billion cities thereabout. That is a significant marker that we need to look into.
But Franklin, is that not to be Franklin? Is that not to be expected? Because if your currency appreciates and your import duties are actually calculated with the rate of the cedi to the dollar, if your currency appreciates, it's to be expected that you will not get the values that you want.
Well, that's partly an explanation. But you and I also know we've done serious and organized crime work at the port, and we know what exactly happens. In fact, you'll be amazed to know that this figure, close to 60% of this figure, is due, probably most trifle, is due to underhand dealings, non-declarations. But I've just seen a file on non-declaration for a particular oil company and an OMC for almost I've forgotten the figure, but close to 1 billion, about 9 and something million Ghana cedis, right, for an extended period of time. We can't be doing these things to ourselves in a way. But having said that, let's put that aside. I'm just saying that it is important that we need to ask questions, right? And that, I'm not saying that the position is wrong, but I think they should also be a bit more circumspect when they keep shouting, because frankly speaking, they are responsible for the mess in which we are right now. And I think that they should speak, but they must also be mindful of the things that are being done. I mean, if I told things, I will never spend on any road further unless I get values vetted and agreed with everybody. That's a good way to go. So I think at the risk of sounding that we are overly praising the current government at all, I think it's important to state the point that look, there is indeed some fresh air in the current scheme of things.
Let me bring in Joe Jackson. And Joe Jackson, let's look at the discipline that you talk, the importance of being disciplined.
Listen, let nobody underestimate the discipline that the managers of this economy, led by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Atuforsen, have shown in the last 6 months. It takes a lot of discipline to say, I'm going to bring down the rate at which I borrow on this market, because I can't continue to borrow at rates of 28%, especially on T-bills, when that's the only way I'm financing myself until I get out of this challenge. To go to the market and say, I'm going to this market, and as I go, today I want to pay 15% for X number of days of credit. And if it is undersubscribed, I'll take only up to that 15%. If it is oversubscribed, before I went, I said I'm looking for 2.5 billion. I take that 2.5 billion and not a cedi more, not a cedi less. I fix how much I want to pay, rate I want to pay, and I don't go not 1 basis point above. That takes discipline. That takes tremendous discipline, and we have to give them credit for that, because in that sense, they've done two things. They've brought down the cost of financing T-bills and domestic debt, and saved what the estimates are in excess of 4 billion. Think about it. How much did e-levy bring us?
Tell me.
2.5 billion a year. So if somebody says I've saved 4 billion, you start to put it in perspective. So let's not do you know, and let's give them credit for staying the course and saying, I won't pay those arrears until I do some verification. There must be tremendous pressure from business people. After all, who financed the election? It's the same business people who financed the election. A lot of them are standing in the corridor saying, listen, you owe me this. Some of them are been owed for years, coming from the previous administration. They've still withstood that pressure, and we should give them credit.
But if it's about credit, and I'm just interested in this, because the IMF findings are pointing out that, and that's their word, we've not officially heard from the government, but they are saying that the government of Ghana is acknowledging the pre-existing work that the erstwhile NPP administration had done. They had laid the foundation. Should they not be taking some credit for that as well?
Oh, but I said Comfort Bonia. What's not yare for him? I'm a comfort pa. I better know when you know. What the other flip side is also this. But who brought us into this debacle? You know, at a certain level, as much as and that's why I was very specific in referring to Honorable Aminu's term.
Yeah.
Because the previous management under Honorable Kenofarata led us to this place of intense pain. So at a certain level, you can't be the doctor who misprescribed my medicines and caused me pain because I took the wrong medicines in the hope of fixing my ailment, and then say that but I kind of kept you when after you fell sick from the wrong prescription. I kind of held you okay till we understand that somebody else, a new doctor, came in and held the fort till my medications were changed. There was a lot more discipline applied to the medications I took, and I've gone from a stroke to I'm getting physiotherapy.
Was founder and president Imani Africa, Joe Jackson, is CEO of Dalex Finance. Joe, before the break, I was talking about now that the verification is over, payments will be made. How is this likely to impact the Ghanaian economy going forward?
Listen, anytime payments are made, what you're paying for will influence the impact it has. If you're paying for pure arrears, that money is going to have an inflationary effect. If you're paying for money that is going to go back to continue work being done, for example, it has a different effect. So Franklin talked about the Ofankor Road. If you're paying the contractor and he's going to use the money to continue the work, that has a very different effect from if you're paying the contractor who was delivered, gone through it, and the money is just going straight to
settle.
Yeah. So I would like to differentiate between the arrears that are for ongoing work that must be continued, that we will see an immediate productive effect, from arrears that they're also important arrears, but they are in a slightly different category.
Okay.
And the important thing is this: those arrears, at least at the last reckoning at the beginning of the year, were up to 64 billion. It will be important to see how much of that has been verified and is ready to be paid. If you pump 64 billion into this economy, you're going to get a huge inflationary effect. Some of us have advocated that for those whose arrears are not going to go into immediate roll over into the contracts, let's negotiate some sort of long-term payment. Give them bonds that they can trade on the secondary market, so that we can have we don't have to have that money just go straight in and cause such a disruptive effect.
Okay, if I get you, you're saying that for those projects where maybe the contractors may not be going back to site, government owes them. When government pays them, because they are not going to be pumping it into the continuation of the project.
Exactly.
Those projects are likely, those payments may lead to inflationary pressures.
Yes.
And thus, government should find a creative way of going about it through the payment with bonds.
Yes. The contractors are not going to be happy. But you see, let's be real here. We just a scant 7 months ago, we were in the throes of an economic crisis. Foreigners who gave us money have taken a haircut. Domestic people who gave us money are taking a haircut. We are asking independent power producers to take a haircut. Citizens have taken a haircut. Just maybe the contractors should also accept a creative way that won't please them, but will get us going along the line.
But you agree it's a place we don't want to be back to.
Why don't we want to go back there? Is the pain over?
Yeah, but
our debts at a level at which we can pay comfortably?
When it comes to the contractors, my government's plan and a schedule to pay 13 billion Ghana cedis this year.
That's okay.
So that is not going to create any pressures?
Listen, so long as we are trying to drive inflation down, 13 billion is significant enough to add to our pressures, especially when we're getting revenue shortfalls. You see, the important thing to look at is that if we say we'll pay 13 billion, let's pay it. But let's pay 13 billion to those who are going to pump it back into the economy, not 13 billion to those who are going to take and sit on the money.
Would that not amount to deferring the challenges when we should be confronting them?
We are confronting the challenges. The challenges is that, have you guys forgotten that 2022, we lifted up our arms and said we can't pay our debt. We've just started paying. We are not still able to pay all our debt. We're still drowning in debt. We're still negotiating our way out of debt. We have payments that we've postponed to 2026. Huge payments that are coming up. We have to find the Cedis to fund those payments. You see, there is unfortunately, there's a certain sense as if we're okay. Life is back to normal. We can go back to our bad old ways. We cannot. We should not. We should have learned from the pain of the last few years. In GBC, Ohia Madrin, Ganafo, no here your crewman, Wamayan. Let us not sit in a place where we think everything is okay and we can go back to our ways. Let's stop thinking that in 7 months or so, all of a sudden, every contractor is paid, money is borrowed. We can't do that.
But they deserve to be paid, isn't it?
And there's no... did anybody deserve to take a haircut? I gave my money to the government. A domestic debt exchange program means I gave my money to the government. The government committed to give me a certain return. The government committed to pay me back at a certain time. Spread it for 12 years. Did I deserve that? Did those pension funds outside who gave us money for a fixed return, did they deserve to take haircuts at the size of which they took? That's a pensioner's money over there.
Let me bring in Franklin Kujo on this point that you're making. Franklin, I mean, Joe Jackson has made the point. He says that, look, for some of these contractors, maybe they're paid with government of Ghana bonds. I don't know what your take is on that.
It's actually a brilliant idea. I would even think that, Joe's point, if we expanded it, he's actually trying to tell you, that's why you do an audit and make sure that those contractors who are owed money on the most economic of routes, well, let's settle them. And then those that are feeder roads that were constructed to nowhere because of politics and all of that, please, wait more. You understand? You can get the bonds and go into the future. And then redeem these bonds into the future. I think the multiplier effect on the economy, if you focused on the most productive of roads, those who are old on those roads, and you give them and you continue, the idea in economics is that the multiplier effect down the line would have made sure that the gains would then obviate, if you like, the needs or basically the balances that are due the other roads that are not necessarily that important to the economy of Ghana. I think this is the way I would want to look at it. If I'm a student of value for money analysis, this is the way I organize the debt. I think it is important that we are not saying we'll not pay, but please, this road, I beg you, is not in the scheme of things for now. Because these roads are leading to necessarily nowhere. Of course, it's conveying people, but are they really economic? That's the way I organize it. And I think Joe is some solid grounds when he makes the point. And I think it's also important to add that, look, at the end of the day, nobody is saying that the gains that are being made should not be questioned. In fact, it's important to know that headline recovery is not the same as deep reform, right? And it's important, all these headline figures that we hear about, this running this math, I'm using the term positively here, though. They are not. These are not necessarily. They look like quick fixes. We need to be sure that they are deeper roots which will lead to the structural reform that we want. We want to have digitized customs so that we start paying properly, so that we get the right amount of money to plug some of those loopholes. We want to look at the tax refund and make sure that, apart from the 2%, there's more the minister can actually garner from there. So that fund was used to, it's like a slush fund, we used to pay the like of 10 GVG and all this fictitious project, right? And so maybe he can do some engineering and look at it. But at the end of the day, all these interventions must be based on what I call the rule-based fiscal policy. If you don't have a rule-based fiscal policy, obviously the likes of the Fiscal Responsibility Council that they want to establish. By the way, Imani is working seriously with our partners to ensure that we establish that thing properly, working the government to ensure that that thing is done very well and independent and truly independent, so that no party apparatus are put there and they become the flesh bulldogs. It's important that we ask ourselves, all these interventions that we are asking the minister to make, pay arrears, do this. He has a ledger. He needs to look and ask himself, if I pay everybody, would I satisfy the rule of sensible economic planning? I'm not saying I won't pay, but it will take a little while. So they have to look at the quality of the reliability and ask themselves, don't you need to stagger? And I think these persons will agree. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. If you want to get a real contract to somewhere that is really not important, why should you be bothering me to pay you? So I rather
Franklin, if you advertise a contract, and I have come to work, I didn't say decide you're going to do this. You have decided as government, and so yes, I deserve my payments, don't I?
Yeah, but I'm not saying I won't pay you. I'm only saying that right now the pot of money I have cannot pay everybody, so I'm prioritizing. So you get your money, but you get it in bonds, redeemable at some point in time. And yes, it's not like we're giving a haircut. You just postpone. Maybe it's a little interest. We can do that. How I wish we were thinking the same for Unibank when we are negotiating 60-40. I
will get to that. I'll get to that one shortly.
Okay. But exactly the point I'm making, that negotiate with these people. You're not going to get whatever. You get your money, but at an extended period of time. Let's focus on the quality one. This one, Franco, the Franco, one. Not because I live around there, but it is torturous. It is just inhumane. In fact, the other day, I couldn't even see anything. The whole road was like there was a dust bowl, dust storm. You know. Have you seen the movie Dune? You see how the that's how it was. You couldn't see anything. How on earth do you have an economic road like that? And you're focusing on peripherals. Who does that? Because these 700 million so-called roads are also in the check. What is that? Focus on the one that brings you value. It's a hell driving on that road from here to Kumasi. Why?
Okay. Franklin, hold on 1 minute for me. What I'm learning, is that it's actually the plan of the Ministry of Finance is to go by what you've just suggested. Joe Jackson and Franklin Kujo, that for many of some of these roads are going to be paid by bonds, and also going forward they will only go by the amendments to the PFM Act. So no commencement certificate from the Finance Minister, no contract.
I think the Finance Minister has made that.
Yeah, he's made that
comment on countless occasions.
Yes, let me bring you back in. Frankly, we just want to wrap up so that I get to Joe Jackson.
Oh yes, we have that, and as I just want to conclude on this matter of the budget not making certain claims. It is important to ask questions. As I said, are all these gains we are making, are they going to hold if we are not going to deeply restructure the reform agenda, which includes some of the things that the minister wants to do with the PFM actions? I hope that he gets to do it, and that no big party apparatus come around and say, "Oh, this man is not spending." This is no. We don't want to hear that. We let him get focused. Thank you.
Great. Yes, let me bring you in, Joe Jackson. We'll be wrapping up a conversation on this shortly. So,
Winston, I was just going to, draw your attention to the conversation we're having a couple of days ago about the FX and how it is reducing, the debt profile. The tabulation or the calculation we did was that some 100 billion was being knocked off the last time we had the conversation on the debt situation.
Yes.
And so if we're tying that to the point Joe Jackson was making, I was going to ask that are we saying that economically we don't have the fiscal space now for the finance minister to just go ahead and pay regardless of priority or otherwise? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly that. We don't have the fiscal space to just pay off every contractor regardless of whether
the space or not.
There's of how much this payment reflects productive work in the economy, right? And some of the arrears are owed for not so exciting stuff, right? And we talk about roads, and for example, the if you've been on the road between Accra and Winneba, which I had to do twice in the last 2 weeks, right, it's awful. And that leads us to the central and western part of this country, and even to Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
Right? And it takes you anything between 1.5 hours when it's off peak to 2.5 hours when it's peak time to navigate just Accra to Winneba.
Yeah.
Barely 40 miles. So there are some serious distortions that are taking place.
But Joe Jackson, I mean, a contractor just sent me this.
I knew that was coming.
Said, please tell Joe Jackson not to go there.
Don't touch our money.
What inflation? Does he know our debts to the banks, equipment suppliers, salaries and co? Please, some of us have been owed for years. If we go by what he's saying, then no contractor will finish his work until fully paid.
Listen, I also come from a financial institution. The contractors who owe me, I'm hoping to get. I'm not saying this because I enjoy it. I'm not saying this because it is of benefit to me. I'm saying this because that is really what we need to do. And let's be clear, and I say this to all the contractors out there. I'm also a financial institution. I feel your pain. Sometimes your pain is real to me. But we've got to start doing things because it's the right thing, and not doing things because it will benefit me. That's the real thing I'm talking about here. Listen, I'm not saying this. Do you know how many contractors have called me because I've been talking about this issue about the arrears? Someone even called me and said, Joe, you better get police protection because I'm coming for you. But it's real. Listen, you see, we are in trouble. We're not even talking about the infrastructure deficit we face as an economy. Now we are just doing patchwork to get us moving. There are estimates that up to 40% of the price we face for food, etc., is just due to the quality of roads. Do you know what could happen to this country if the farm gate to roads from farm gate to market were better? Do you know what will happen to this country if the railways were carrying the cargo that they need to? The explosion in productivity. If you could travel from here to Kumasi in 2.5 hours, which we used to now 4 to 5 hours today, that we are still broke, and that there's no money, and that there are so many things we need to do that we cannot do because we don't have the money, that we have to prioritize, that we're drowning in debt, and we're still drowning in debt. We've only negotiated our way. One of the things we should all learn, including the opposition and everyone, is that we were in a dark place. We are coming out, but we are not out of the woods yet. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we are not at the end of the tunnel yet. And that the road ahead is still fraught with real pain, economic pain. The road ahead is we're going to have to continue to take hard decisions. Some of the hard decisions will require us to then make lasting, sustainable changes to the structure of this economy. Otherwise, in a few years, we're going to end back where we were before. We cannot continue this whole business as usual. We take some pain for a year, we quickly jump out. In another 2-3 years, there's an election coming, and everybody is out there partying like it's nobody's business. We are out borrowing like it's nobody's business, and then we go to another cycle again.
Okay, stay with us. I still have Joe Jackson, who's CEO of Dalex Finance, and Franklin Kujo, founder and president of Imani Africa. When we return after these messages, I'll be starting with you, Franklin, on the Attorney General's negotiations with the Unibank shareholders, and what he says is a good, with the Unibank. The bit about the debt. You would agree that the appreciation of the Ghana cedi in itself has helped us to reduce, Plaudits, and I was showing it to you the last time, Blessed, that while in dollar terms, our debts have gone up a little bit, the Ghana cedi's appreciation has helped reduce public debt.